The Broncos signed Case Keenum to a 2-year deal worth $36 million. The big question to me is, are the Broncos committed to Case Keenum? Fair question. I think they are. I think they have to be. I think the Broncos must be committed to Case Keenum. See, the Broncos just want stability at quarterback. When is the last time the Broncos had stability at quarterback? It was Peyton Manning. They won a Super Bowl. They've had Trevor Siemian since. The Broncos are just looking for some kind of semblance and some kind of quarterback who can provide consistent play week in and week out. I'll be very honest. If the Broncos had a chance, I think the Broncos would draft Sam Darnold or Josh Allen or Josh Rosen. But I do believe if Baker Mayfield becomes available, the Broncos would pass on Baker Mayfield and take Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley. I think Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum are too similar. They're too similar quarterbacks. I do not believe, there's no way I could possibly believe that John Elway, I do not believe John Elway likes Baker Mayfield's personality. He's not for everybody, and I get the sense, if I was a betting man, I would bet that John Elway is not a fan of Baker Mayfield's personality. Here's the thing. Case Keenum is a small quarterback in Denver. Not the ideal fit. Why would they want two of them? Why would you want Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum? Two small quarterbacks they have good enough arms, but not amazingly strong arms. Why would you want two guys like that in Denver? You wouldn't. I think it's very possible that the Broncos are committed to Case Keenum. So, Case Keenum can win you games. Case Keenum is a good quarterback. But I do not believe that Case Keenum can win a Super Bowl in Denver. Maybe we saw, I remember that the Ravens, with a great defense, they kept their scoring really low. They were able to take a quarterback like Trent Dilfer to the Super Bowl. I think that Trent Dilfer is worse than Case Keenum. I think Case Keenum is a better quarterback than Trent Dilfer was, but they are similar. Trent Dilfer was a game manager. He's not going to make that big grand mistake. He's not going to rip a 95-yard touchdown. I think Case Keenum is similar, where you're just counting on Case Keenum to not blow it. Do not throw a costly interception. Don't have a costly turnover. Keep the game within range, and the Broncos defense can bail you out. But I believe that Case Keenum is a third-tier quarterback. There's 4 tiers of quarterbacks. The top tier is quarterbacks who can win you a Super Bowl no matter what you put around them. That's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, and even Tom Brady. Now, the second tier of quarterbacks are guys that, if you give them a great roster, if you give them a good enough team, they can win you a Super Bowl. Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. The problem is that Case Keenum was on one of those teams. He was on that roster last year. Case Keenum couldn't win a Super Bowl last year with the Minnesota Vikings. He went to a roster that's not as good. The Broncos roster is not as good as the Vikings roster. We could see Case Keenum maybe get to a Super Bowl. But I'm not confident that Case Keenum can beat the Rams or the Eagles or, again, his old team, the Vikings. Is it possible Case Keenum could win a Super Bowl? Yeah, I'm open to change. I'm rooting for Case Keenum. Don't get me wrong. I like Case Keenum. But I do not believe Case Keenum can win a Super Bowl with the Broncos. He could get there. The AFC is easier than the NFC, but I don't think ultimately that Case Keenum could win a Super Bowl with the Broncos. However, that's a great problem to have. If we're worried about can you win a Super Bowl, that's a good problem. That's like saying, I don't know, can he be a millionaire or can he be a billionaire? Well, he can only be a millionaire. That's not bad. Case Keenum's going to win a lot of games with the Broncos, I do believe. So he may not win a Super Bowl. I don't know that he's that talented. We could see a Trent Dilfer, but I just don't buy it. I do not believe Case Keenum can win a Super Bowl in Denver. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this show as much as I do, help me grow by telling your friends about this show. That's a crime. It rhymes. I know. Move on. Share with your friends on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends. And if you really like this podcast, subscribe to it on iTunes, on SoundCloud, and on YouTube.